let's have a little life update. As you can see behind me, I have just been recording. I just filmed my February budget update. It is March as we speak, so that's been fun. I have been very ill for the last few weeks. I'm just recovering. I'm doing okay this week, but energy has been low and lacking, let's just say. So I'm having an iced Americano that I made in order to record the video. It's been a weird few weeks. Let's just start with that. The last few weeks have been very odd. So I did put out, there was a car. I did put out a quickie little vlog when I was feeling ill. Initially, I thought it was one thing. I'm fairly sure I either had food poisoning or norovirus. I don't know which one because I did not go into urgent care, but it was pretty close. There were some moments there where I thought I was going to have to be taken into be seen by someone. I was afraid of getting dehydrated. Luckily, I have a lot of electrolytes, so I put those to good use. I did not need to go into any kind of medical treatment, but it was not good. Things were just gross for a few days. I went back to work. I think on Thursday. So I had to take 3 days off. That Thursday when I was recording my little like complete bed rotting video that I posted a couple weeks ago or last week, or I don't know when by the time you guys see this. But when I posted that video, it took about 3 days of me being in bed. I had actually had like 2 days leading up to it where I suspected something was happening, and then it kind of just all happened. And that Monday I could not get out of bed. I could not like get to work without feeling absolutely nauseous. So I didn't think it would take 3 days, but it did. And it's been very slow coming after that. Writing has been very slow as well. I was doing great. Editing was going apace. I got 71 pages revised in February. My goal had been to reach about 80 some odd, so I got close. I didn't meet the actual goal because towards the end of the month, like that last week, forget it, nothing was happening. I started with a little bit of editing, and it was one of those things where like I would open the page and like my brain wasn't really like doing what it needed to do because I was just already like feeling a little bit off. So that like the last couple edits, that was like, you know, like slogging through it, like half a page of editing at best. So it wasn't really good. I didn't feel like much progress was being made, and then I just had to kind of like stop full stop because it just wasn't coming. I also, you know, like felt so behind at work once I was able to finally make it back into the office. It felt like when you come back from vacation and it was like, what was I working on? What were we doing? Like, where am I supposed to be getting stuff done right now? So it took a little bit just to like reframe and get back into the mindset of being in the office and what I had to do. So everything felt off. I wasn't exercising. At least I was walking, so that's a good thing. I was still getting some movement in, but like those first few days, I was like not getting out of bed. I was barely moving. I was just literally laying there all day. And so once I was actually like back in the office, it took a while for me to get into the right mindset, and it's taken even longer to get back into writing. I did get back to editing this week. It is the 14th as I'm recording this, so it's Friday. I had, what did I do on Monday? There was something I had to do on Monday. Oh, I had to work from home on Monday and redo my schedule. I was like, why did Monday feel weird? So I was still kind of in recovery on Monday. I did end up having to work from home and deal with some like car troubles that my boyfriend was going through. Not my car, but his car. So I was assisting him with that. So that also threw me off. It's just been a weird couple of weeks, and it feels like I'm just now starting to get back into things. So writing, updates to come. I am currently working on the blog. I even had to take a break on that. So I have been posting to my blog weekly, except for the last 2 weeks. I'm trying to just post some sort of like little personal essay or a life update on Sundays. Hasn't always worked out for obvious reasons, but my goal is to just kind of like keep up with that and keep going. I'm also working on an update for my Substack. I'm planning to do at least like one like monthly wrap up where I do discuss my progress with writing and just like little bits and pieces here and there of like what I'm enjoying and stuff like that, just to kind of like start to build that audience in terms of my writing. Almost like a little newsletter, but not really. I'm having a hard time with a lot of stuff. So, on the one hand, I'm excited to try to put out the books in the fall. On the other hand, things are awful, and I feel like I did in the first few months of the pandemic, where I am just like, it feels like, what am I working towards? And that's an awful feeling. I don't know how to really reconcile that. I'm also kind of struggling like watching like what's really genuinely happening to a lot of indie authors with the market right now. I do think part of it is, obviously the large boycott, but as we're seeing the numbers come out for March of like what people have made in sales, I also think it's just that a lot of us, myself included, are avoiding frivolous purchases, and I myself have avoided buying books. I talk about that in the budget update that's coming up, where I kind of feel like I want to revisit my relationship with book buying, because I almost feel like I would like to spend a little bit more on buying books, not just for, supporting the community, but also because it feels like a form of resistance in itself to continue to find joy in the written word. Like even my writing, honestly, on most days just feels like a form of resistance. I don't know what the future of the kind of genre that I write will be. There's a lot of stuff going on with censorship, and that's already been in the works. Like I work in libraries. Like I am, oh, there's like something in my eye. I, have seen it firsthand. I don't work at a public library, but I have seen how this has translated across the state where I live. And I've seen it over the last few years. This is not a new thing. It's just like the attacks have just been getting worse. And considering that there are so many little ways in which, just our intellectual and freedom of speech has been attacked in, the written word, I have worries about that. So being a romance writer, I already have this innate like dread of like, will I have to censor my works? Will I need to rewrite them in order to fit some, like weird repressive legislation that comes along in the future? I don't know. I'm, keeping an eye. I'm trying to be informed, but also I don't want to preemptively give in. So I am trying to heed the message of do not comply in advance. So I am not complying in advance. I'm writing what I'm writing, and I'm pushing through with what I'm producing regardless. But it's still just that little constant doubt in the back of my mind where I'm like, what if all this crashes and burns and it never happens as I want it to happen, or it doesn't come out in fall because of XYZ reasons? I've also just been having a lot of delays with setting up the business because on the one hand, I have a very small budget, so the money is not like extensive. I am basically starting a business on a shoestring, but then I'm also like, what if something else happens? What if, next month my mom gets $0 in Social Security, and suddenly, this is a very real fear that I have, and it's a thing that has been affecting my creative ability. Is just like, what if my entire life gets shaken up and I suddenly have to deal with taking care of an elder and like finding housing for her or something? Like there's just so much stuff that can go wrong, and the thought of spending my money and then it all imploding and it being worth nothing, and suddenly I could have used that money for something else, it's been driving me absolutely bonkers. So not to like make this like a super negative rant, but yeah, like I came into the year really excited. I had this plan for the last couple years. I did Publish and Thrive, and I was ready to I told myself, I wrote down 2025 will be my debut year. But at the same time, it's like 2025 is looking real not good for everyone. And, I'm seeing authors saying how they are considering not even being able to publish anymore because they're not making any funds. And if you can't really fuel the business, how do you pay for anything? I mean, even if I DIY as much as possible, there are still costs incurred. It's never absolutely free. I guess you could, in theory, just throw up a book up there, but it's not going to be great. So all this to say, I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. I'm hoping that this book will come out at some point in either October or November. I have made some tough decisions. I do, however, know that before anything can go forward, I did want to start as a mean to go on, and I do want to create the LLC, so that has to happen. And I'm now trying to figure out what to call it, because what I initially wanted to call it, I don't know if that's going to work. So I've kind of procrastinated on it, and that's on me. But, so much has been happening that I can't help but be a little bit gentle with myself, because the world is a mess, and I am just this little person trying to start sell a book that may or may never find its readers. That's the real goal is to find readers. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I guess I keep on pressing on as long as I can, and we got to do what we got to do. But it's still a lot to think about, a lot of heaviness on my mind as I consider all these issues and hope for the best. But the plan is still to try to do it, and to try to do it as best as I can in a way that is within my means. So we push on and we continue to do what we do. So yeah, that's been what's been happening lately. I haven't vlogged much because not much has been happening. It's been literally me lying around or trying to recover and slowly trying to get back into just the regular routine. I started working out this week, which has also been good. It just felt pretty awful, feeling so weak and nauseous, and then also feeling oh, I'm not doing anything and I'm falling behind. And it's that whole the capitalist impulse to show progress, but at the same time no, I must resist that feeling. But also it's a terrible cycle, because if I don't do, then nothing will come of it, and it's a mess, and I have no solutions for it. So there we are. I otherwise have been okay. Things have been going pretty well. I'm pursuing some interesting things in life right now. I don't know if anything will come of it, but I am cautiously optimistic. There have been a lot of awful things happening and a lot of heaviness, but I'm also still trying to remain joyful. I'm trying to find resistance in the little ways just through experiencing joy. It's very hard, and I know a lot of people are struggling with that, with how do you continue to experience, joy? Are you just burying your head in the sand? It's no, I think I'm old enough and I've gone through enough stuff to know that if I just give in to the sadness and the fear, that will not help anyone. So you protect your energy, continue to find joy in the small ways, continue to disconnect where you need to. I am limiting my consumption of the news to primarily a couple of independent journalists. So I watch Under the Desk News. I think she's awesome. I love what she's doing. I hope I'm not misgendering them. I don't know. I haven't really seen what their pronouns are, but I will further back. So that has been a great resource. I love that it's just enough information to keep me informed without sending me into a spiral. Sometimes it sends me into a spiral, but usually I don't end up in a spiral. I just get enough information. I'm okay, that's what's happening, and I can move on. I'm also watching Aaron Parnas. He is on Substack. He's also on TikTok, but I don't have TikTok and never have. So Erin will post a morning and an evening news snippet. It's like 4 minutes long. It's just enough information. Again, keeps me informed, lets me know what are the big things happening in the world. And I'll watch like local news as needed. I get the updates. So if I see anything that looks interesting, I'll just click through and watch that. But I'm not consuming an excessive amount of news. I'm also reading Scott Dorkin, his Substack. And it's usually like, it'll be like a little snippet where it's like, news that is terrible for X. And it'll either be like, you know, Trump or Musk or whoever, but great for us. And so these are the small resistance acts that are happening right now news. So that's been nice to see too, to remember that people are still engaging, that people are realizing this is not normal, that stuff is happening. So that's been nice. And I am trying to go back because I do still fall victim to doom scrolling on some days. I've tried so hard not to, but there are some days where it just happens, where like the news cycle is just that bad and I just get a little bit too connected. I'm trying to resist that urge. I had set like time limits on my phone where my certain apps will just disappear after a certain hour. I think I set it to like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., 5:30. They turn off usually by the time I'm driving home, so I can't see them again. But I do, of course, know how to go around them. So I need to stop myself from going around them. And so in doing that, I have been turning back to reading at night. Like I am a before bed reader, and I have become a before bed doom scroller, and that is not good for anyone. I had stopped doing that. I've kind of fallen victim to it again. I've started again working on that, not falling into that cycle again. So reading has been great, and that's why I'm like, you know, I do want to return to buying some books. So we will reevaluate our relationship with book buying and set a budget for that. But I'm currently reading what am I reading? It's a Lucy Score book. I really got into Lucy Score last November. At some point in the last, you know, like 6 months, I read one of her books and I really liked it. And so I picked up another one, All the Things We Never Said, or something like that. I'll pop it in at some point. But you can follow whatever I'm reading on Storygraph. The link should be below somewhere, I think. So that's what I've been doing, just kind of trying to resist in little ways, and finding joy, and in reading more, and in stopping myself from doom scrolling. It is a work in progress, but that is the best thing for me right now, is to disconnect slightly. So I hope that wherever you guys are, you're doing well. Let me know how you're finding small ways to find joy and resist and avoid the awful news cycle, because we could all use a little bit of inspiration. I've also been engaging in art. I told myself I would go into the crafty hobbies that I have purchased, and I have. I've been drawing a little bit, I have been doodling a little bit, and I have been painting with numbers, so that has been fun. So check in with you guys in the next one. I just wanted to do this quick little update to tell you all what's going on, why I haven't really been around, and see you in the next one. Bye. This boy was on the floor. He kept crying for a little bit. I don't know what that was about, but here he is. Here he is. Say hello, baby. He's a silly boy.